Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable Podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
My name is Mark Owens, and John, I got to apologize because I like to have lots of little side hustles. I like to host charity events and host fun sporting events. It's just kind of like little side gigs that I pick up from time to time. And last weekend, I had the opportunity to work at Echo Park Speedway, formerly Atlanta Motor Speedway. NASCAR was in town. So I was hooting and hollering at the racetrack. So I'm a little bit hoarse as we're recording it this week. And so my apologies.
You are forgiven, sir. No worries.
But with that being said, I was thinking about that because this is kind of what you do as well. You work your entire life to finally retire. But then sometimes you say, all right, John, now what? I need to find my purpose in retirement. These are conversations that you have.
Yeah, Mark. I mean, look, case in point, I had a client come in for a review last week. I would consider this gentleman a friend. Mid-60s, hasn't pulled Social Security yet. Been retired about 6 months. And, you know, when he came in, I could just see this twinkle in his eye. He was ready for, I guess I would call it round two, right? What am I going to do? I've experienced watching the grass grow. I've experienced transitioning into this without having to get up at 4:30 a.m. every morning. And, you know, Mark, we talked about a number of things, including him going back to school, including him possibly easing back into the industry that he retired from. And, you know, I think that's the key to who Cypress Financial is. We not only do we listen, but Mark, we really care.
Yeah.
Where are you? How are you feeling? How's the transition going? One of the greatest privileges, and I would truly describe it as a privilege to be able to, you know, walk through this journey called life with our clients that we truly cherish.
Yeah, 504-732-1001. And John, if you watch enough financial television, you'll notice there's always a forecast. On these financial forecasts, there's always a strategy that follows up that's built on that forecast. I want you to hear this clip from wealth manager Eddie Gabor on Fox Business when they asked what he's expecting, as we talk about forecast, what he's expecting from the market.
You should expect a summer correction, but I would be buying those hand over fist because the biggest thing I've seen here is people have missed this rally. It's been really hated. They continue to ask how much higher can it go? And this is a real earnings story. These aren't just companies that are fly by night. And if we get a gift of another summer dip, we will buy hand over fist because I think by the time we get to the end of the year, markets are going to be much higher and we're going to surprise to the upside on growth economically as well as earnings projections.
Okay, there's a lot to take in there from Eddie Gabor right there. He sounds a little bullish as well, but the line that stuck with me wasn't about the dip. It's when he said, people have missed this rally. Do you feel like that's true, John Scallan?
Oh boy, Mark, I would say in droves. I mean, let's try to put this in perspective because I don't think people realize how strong this market has been. I had one gentleman at one of the largest custodians in the world spit out some statistics on a recent call I was on, and he said, this is the best that it has ever been. I mean, let's kind of run through the numbers. Second quarter this year, the S&P up almost 15%. And Mark, this is the best quarter since the COVID rebound in 2020. We are on pace for a fourth straight year of double-digit gains. And the last down year, Mark, 2022. Since then, the index is up about 92%. I mean, think about it. Having money in the market in 2023 and having your money almost double without any additional contribution.
I want to go back to something you said right there. You said the index is up about 92%. And unfortunately, people have been sitting in cash through this whole process.
Yeah, Mark, it's almost a tragedy how many people have missed this, you know, sitting back, waiting for the correction, waiting for it to feel safe, waiting for somebody to give them permission to get back in. And the market, it just kept climbing right past them. And it has since never looked back.
Okay, but I want to put myself in the shoes of those individuals and maybe play devil's advocate with you, John Scallan. It sounds like these individuals were just being careful. As much as we've seen a volatile market, that's not a crazy instinct.
Mark, you're spot on. I mean, it's not crazy at all. And I don't blame anybody for it, truly. But here's the uncomfortable part. Being careful, Mark Owens, is not the same as being safe. You know, sometimes sitting in cash, it feels like you're not taking a risk, but in reality, you are. It's just a risk that nobody sends you a statement about. I mean, imagine somebody who got spooked in a rough stretch. Let's say it was 2022, moved everything to cash, told themselves they'd get back in once things settled down. Mark, this sounds reasonable, but here's the point. Nobody rings a bell. There's no headline that says all clear, come on back in the market. So these clients wait and the market goes up. And now getting back in, it feels expensive because they've already missed some of the chunks, some of the run up. So what do sometimes? They wait some more. And guess what? The market goes up again.
So it's almost they get caught in that trap because the longer they wait, it's harder it is to get back in.
Mark, the door is shut behind you. And I mean, the whole time, inflation is quietly chewing away on that cash. Every year it buys a little less. So, you know, some of our listeners out there, they think, you know, they're standing still. But what's actually happening when inflation creeps up, they're actually going backwards. Mark, there's no statement that shows you the growth that you did not earn.
You're not sitting here telling everybody just to dump it all in and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy, John.
No, Mark. And I mean, listen, you know, Eddie says there's a correction coming. And listen, I don't think he's too far off. I mean, of course, the market backs up. Of course, one's coming. There's always another one coming, Mark. I mean, that's a completely normal part of how this works. 2 steps forward, 1 steps back. But here's where people go sideways. They hear that information and they think, listen, I've only got 2 choices. Let me hide in cash or ride it out and just take the hit. Mark, the truth is neither one of those strategies is a plan.
So is there a third door?
Yes, sir, there is. You you build for it ahead of time. Mark, you know, at Cypress Financial, what this means is we lay it out so the money your life actually runs on is handled. Your necessities and some extra, it is absolutely covered. Listen, these expenses that you have to have, they're not riding on what the market does this quarter. And then the money in the market, that is extra. That's the growth money, Mark. Nobody's talking you into being calm. Think about why somebody bolts to the safety of cash. I mean, Mark, in their mind, that account is everything. Their whole future in one number. But Mark, when you can see it laid out, here's the foundation. Here's the extra. When the market drops by 20%, it's a completely different feeling, a different scenario. It's a rough year for the money you weren't leaning to live on anyway.
So in those circumstances, it's not like people are being more brave. They have a better understanding of where they stand.
You know, even with that voice being on the beat team, Mark, your brain is still working really strong. You're exactly right. They know where they stand. And that's what lets a person stay invested through the rough patch instead of running for the exit, which is, Mark, that's the entire ball game. Do you have a plan? Do you have a strategy that lets you stay invested? Look, some more numbers for you to chew on. Look at the last 10 years. The S&P has averaged better than 15% a year. And that decade had a 20% correction. Listen, the COVID crash, and on top of that, the 2022 bear market where the S&P lost 19%. Mark, here's the thing. If they have a plan and a strategy, people who stayed invested got rewarded. They weren't the ones who jumped all into cash. These were the clients. These were our listeners that built a plan to sit through it, to have their expenses covered, even when the market has a significant pullback.
So, John, we say every weekend it's all about education, information. You educate people that it's not picking a side. It's giving you the security you need.
You should not have to choose if you have the right advice, if you have the right game plan, Mark Owens.
John, most people have a date picked out for when they're going to retire, but there are studies that show only about 40% of those plans actually come true. Everybody else leaves the workforce a little bit earlier than they planned. That's because of health problems, family situations, or they just get downsized. So 40% of our plans actually come to fruition, John. That feels kind of scary if you look at it.
Yeah, Mark, it is. But I want to sit on that number a second because the scary part isn't the one that people normally think that it is.
I don't know, man. It sounds a little scary to me. What do you mean?
Think about what that number is actually telling us. Mark, 6 out of 10 people retiring wasn't a decision that they made. This was a decision that was almost forced, or it actually happened to them. Everybody's got a date in their head. I'm going till 67 or 65. Listen, they've pictured it. The last day, the handshake. But look at what that statistic says. For most people, somebody else picks that retirement day. Mark, it could be a doctor that picks it, or a company that is downsizing that picks it. It could be a sick spouse or a parent with health problems. You've spent 30 years assuming the one thing you control is when you walk out that door. And sometimes it turns out that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah, but that feels a little more unsettling than the actual money part, John.
It is, Mark. Because everything in a retirement plan is calibrated to that date, whether it's 65 or 67. How much you have saved when Social Security starts, when Medicare kicks in, move the date, and every one of those calculations is suddenly wrong at the same time.
Okay, so let's break it down. Walk me through it, John. Say somebody planned to retire at 67. Something happens and they end up retiring at 61. What breaks?
Mark, picture it hypothetically. Let's think about somebody in Jefferson Parish, good career. They plan to go until 67. They get the tap on the shoulder. The first thing that breaks, the savings and the contributions stop to that 401k, and those were their biggest earning years. Let's talk about number 2. Now the money has to stretch for 6 additional years from 61 to 67, and this was not ever really built into the plan. Mark, here's number 3. The income has to start 6 years earlier. Every decision they had made to wait until 67 was now off base. everything all at once just moved up to that younger age. But the one thing that truly blinds people is number 4. And Mark, almost nobody sees it coming. Let's talk about health insurance. Medicare doesn't start until 65. And in this particular example, you've got someone who's 61 years old. The employer coverage is gone. 4 years to bridge health care on their own. And Mark, listen, that can run $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 a month. I mean, the single biggest new expense in their life, it shows up exactly the month that the paycheck stopped.
That is brutal numbers right there, John. And, unfortunately, in situations like this, you can't stop it. You can't stop a layoff. You can't stop getting sick. You can't stop family emergencies.
No, Mark, you can. And that's what I want people, our listeners today, to really hear. If you don't get to pick the day, that's out of your hands. But you absolutely get to pick whether that day finds you ready.
All right, John, so talk to me. How does an adult get ready for a day that we can't predict?
Mark Owens, I know you're a baseball guy. I know you love Georgia football. So let me do this. Let's talk about it like a football analogy.
Let's go.
Quarterback walks up to the line and sees a coverage they weren't expecting. Now, okay, he can't stop the defense from showing it. That's not up to him, but a good team. They knew the coverage was a real possibility. They studied it. They call an audible. They've got answers for this defensive scheme. So he reads it and he calls the audible right there at the line. But Mark, he can only do that because they had a playbook, or what I would call your playbook is your financial plan. You cannot call that audible if you don't have a plan B.
So what exactly is that playbook when it comes to retirement? I mean, because we don't want to treat this like a game.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, it's you, it's us and our client knowing the numbers before anything happens. Mark, I can't tell you when the layoff or the diagnosis or the call about one of your parents happens. I mean, nobody can, but we know it's a real possibility. So we do the work ahead of time. We know what you've got and what it can do. Mark, that way, if that day shows up, we're not walking to the line of scrimmage without a plan. We're not starting from scratch. We can actually call that audible when we need it.
All right, talk to me. What would the audible be? Are we talking like 5 and out? Are we talking Omaha? What are you doing here, John?
Mark, it depends what the defense gives you. I mean, and that's not me dodging. That's football. Sometimes it's bridging those years before Medicare. Sometimes we get creative about where the income comes from. Maybe it's the Roth bucket. Mark, sometimes claiming Social Security early really is the right call. I mean, truthfully, there's no one right answer. Only the right read for what's in front of you if and when that happens.
Without the proper help, without the right guidance, could somebody make that read on their own in that moment?
Mark, it is certainly possible. I mean, again, we've got some brilliant people in this community, but Mark, think about this. It's the worst day of their life from a financial perspective, right? Trying to run a play they've never seen. Nobody wants to find themselves in that position. That's why the work happens before that scenario potentially happens to our client.
How can we be in the dog days of summer, but John Scallan, you still bring it back to football and you start getting me excited about the fall? How do you do that, man?
Mark, I can say Omaha, Omaha. I just don't think I could throw the ball to the receiver.
Are you kidding me?
No, Mark. Listen, man. This is real life. I mean, if that stat that 60% of people don't get to choose their retirement really holds up, man, that is real data, real information that we can work into these plans on behalf of our clients. Let's roll up our sleeves, let's get to work, and let's make sure that you're ready to call that audible should that life scenario happen to you.
John, what's the best way to reach out to you and the team at Cypress Financial?
Oh, always pick up your friend that phone, that thing you carry around with you 24 hours a day. 504-732-1001. You can reach us at cypressfinancial.net. Keep an eye out for us in the community. White tablecloth dinners, educational events at the library and some of the local universities. It would truly be a privilege to meet you and talk about how to make this next chapter of our life the best one in our entire lives.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Cypress Financial Group. Cypress Financial Group is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Cypress Financial Group are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any reference to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Cypress Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Cypress Financial Group. This radio show is a paid placement.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. Please note it is not possible to invest directly into the S&P 500 index. This measure is provided solely as a gauge of overall market performance. Standard & Poor's, S&P, and S&P 500 are registered trademarks of Standard & Poor's Financial Services, LLC, S&P. The historical performance of the S&P 500 is not intended as an indication of its future performance and is not guaranteed.